Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Sophie Erber. There have been more than 2,000 deaths from coronavirus right here in Iowa. Additionally, there are currently more than 1,500 hospitalizations, which does make up roughly 28% of Iowa's bed capacity. Governor Kim Reynolds saying Iowa is now in a crucial period to prevent an even worse COVID-19 crisis, and it's our top story for you at 5.
I know this isn't where we wanted to be nearly 9 months into the pandemic. I know that we can overcome it, but now is the time to come together for the greater good, to do everything we can for each other, and not really because you're told to do it, because it's the right thing to do. So again, I'm just reminding and asking all Iowans to step up and help us stop the spread of this virus together.
Also during her press conference, Governor Reynolds reiterating the new mitigation measures that did take effect today at midnight, adding some new portions of the new proclamation will be reevaluated on a weekly basis, such as hospitals reducing non-essential surgeries to ensure space for virus patients. Iowa is set to receive more than 2,000 doses of a new antibody therapy. That therapeutic is designated and reserved for people with certain medical conditions and also those over the age of 65. And one of those new rules includes having to wear a mask inside public places. Some Siouxlanders tonight wondering how that mask mandate will be enforced and also what the penalty is if they choose not to comply. Sioux City Council member Dan Moore tonight says there are not enough police officers in the city to really watch for that.
We're already stretched pretty thin with law enforcement. To take that police force and to go out and start enforcing mask wearing, it's going to take their energies and time away from something that might have a higher priority. And that's very difficult to say, because what's a higher priority than saving lives and helping people?
While the council members do hope they're setting a good example by wearing masks during public meetings, Mayor Bob Scott also says there's no fine or penalty for not wearing one.
Our police department wants to go into your Thanksgiving dinner and tell you have too many people there. I don't see us doing that. Obviously, mask ordinances and declarations are like seatbelts. Some people are going to choose not to wear them. We would hope that they would heed the governor's advice and wear the mask. I don't know what you can do to enforce it when there's not a penalty. What do you there's not anything you can do.
Moore says it truly is up to each person to do it for themselves. If you're uncomfortable or at risk and in a place where masks are not being worn, you should leave. And as we mentioned, some of these new mandates include limiting capacity and also curfews for certain establishments. Wedding venues and funeral homes must limit their gatherings to 15. Bars and restaurants are now required to close at 10 p.m. for in-person services and cannot reopen until 6 in the morning the following day. One business owner tonight worries how another restriction will be affecting their revenue stream.
It's hard enough to make it in these times as it is, with limited capacity, and just in general, people aren't really wanting to go out a whole lot. So it's a little scary to have to close at 10 when your normal, most of your revenue is made between 9 and 2.
And coming up tonight at 6, KCAU 9's Lydia Vasquez explains how these new mandates will affect certain businesses. Let's take a look now at the latest COVID-19 numbers reported today in Siouxland. Woodbury County health officials saying 42 new cases have been recorded in 24 hours, along with 1 additional death. 66 patients currently in hospital due to COVID-19. Meanwhile, Sioux County has nearly 3,000 cases now, along with 22 deaths. In Nebraska, Dakota County has 13 new positive tests today. The county has recorded about 270 cases of the virus over the past 2 weeks. And in South Dakota, Lincoln County reporting nearly 1,400 active cases out of 4,600 total, again with 40 deaths. While Nebraska continues seeing climbing case numbers and hospitalization rates, the governor there says he will not be issuing any additional mitigation measures, at least at this time. During today's press conference, Governor Pete Ricketts once more urging Nebraskans to follow the state guidelines and also do it voluntarily. Ricketts refusing to issue a statewide mask mandate despite direct questioning from reporters. That conference also covering various therapeutics being used across Iowa hospitals in order to help patients with COVID-19. That includes a new antibody therapy. Turning our attention to the weather now, a slightly chilly day in Siouxland, but at least we had some sun, so Marcus, what do we see overnight? I know last night some of us were treated to a meteor shower. We did have clear skies, but again, chilly temperatures.
That's right, Sophie. It does look like tonight we are going to see those clear skies again. Temperatures, though, they're not going to be quite as cold. We're only going to see our temperatures drop into the mid-30s tonight. Today, high temperatures reaching up into the 50s with that sunshine out there for some of us. 51 for your recorded high in Sioux City and Yankton, 50 in Lamar's. A little bit cooler to the east and northeast. Cherokee only reaching up to 48 today and 43 degrees for your recorded high temperature in Spencer. Overnight tonight, we will see temperatures drop into the mid-30s for pretty much everyone. So temperatures ranging from around 34 to 36 generally throughout Siouxland tonight. So most of us will stay above freezing. It does look like tomorrow's shaping up to be a really nice day temperature-wise, but those windy conditions, they look to stick around. I'll have details on that and what the weekend's looking like coming up in the 9 on 9. Sophie?
All right, thanks a lot, Marcus. Well, we are learning tonight more than 1 million children in the United States have tested positive now for COVID-19, meaning that about 1 in 11 cases of the virus are children under the age of 18. Plus, a new report by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association finds that more children are contracting coronavirus now than at any other time during the pandemic. However, this report does show that kids generally come down with a more mild case of the virus. Since May, 133 children have died because of COVID-19. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley now in quarantine after being exposed to the virus. According to a statement released by the 87-year-old himself, he says he's feeling well, but has been informed he did test positive. The senator will continue working while he is at home. Well, today, President Trump's new appointee at the Pentagon announcing plans to withdraw troops from Afghanistan and Iraq by mid-January. But this move tonight being met with some backlash as lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say it will all but assure a more dangerous Middle East if we do. KCAU 9's Washington correspondent Raquel Martin explains.
I really am scared for our troops.
Illinois Democrat Senator Tammy Duckworth is a decorated military veteran.
What the president is doing jeopardizes our national security, destabilizes the Middle East, and really sets a whole series of actions that will occur long after he's gone.
Completing the mission we began nearly 2 decades ago.
Newly appointed Acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller made official what the president had tweeted, that thousands of U.S. troops will be leaving the Middle East before Inauguration Day.
Our forces, their size in Afghanistan, will be 2,500 troops. Our force size in Iraq will also be 2,500.
Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper warned against the withdrawal of troops before the president fired him. And Republican lawmakers like Senator Mitch McConnell are not lining up behind the president.
Would hurt our allies and delight the people who wish us harm.
We've forgotten the real danger of an Afghanistan, almost pre-9/11, which I fear it would return to again.
Republican Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger was an Air Force pilot who served in Iran and Afghanistan. He says the president risked erasing decades of progress.
Makes negotiations impossible, and it would almost guarantee that the Taliban would hold out and then fight to take back the Afghanistan government.
But Kinzinger says there's little Congress can do to stop the president. In Washington, Raquel Martin, KCAU 9 News.
Well, you might have considered buying a home or a car, but how about buying a whole town? We'll take you to a town on the West Coast for sale coming up.
And it's looking like we're going to see some more nice November weather this week with high temperatures reaching into the 60s. There is a cool down, though, this weekend. Details on all of that after the break.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Sophie Erber and meteorologist Marcus Beasley. This is KCAU 9 News at 5.
Thanks for sticking with us. We're being treated tonight to a beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
Another reminder that the days are growing shorter, but our temperature climbing throughout the week.
Yeah, we're going to see some really nice days ahead of us temperature-wise for the middle of November. Above average temperatures expected in the coming days. Today, our high temperature was actually above average, even though it was cooler today compared to yesterday, reaching up to 51 degrees here in Sioux City today. The normal high temperature 45. So we're really beginning to see that normal high temperature just getting lower and lower as we advance closer and closer to winter here approaching very soon. 72 was the record set back in 1941. This morning, a cold start, starting out below average at 20 degrees. Typically 25 is where we would normally be for our low temperature. -4 set back in 1959. A beautiful sunset outside here. If you don't have the opportunity to get outside and see it yourself, take a look at our camera now. This view brought to you by the Port Neal Welding Company, and we're not bad at all.
Not bad at all, especially looking at the potential Thanksgiving forecast. Temperatures in the high 50s. You might be able to bring your Thanksgiving meal outside,
right,
which might be safer with,
it might be.
with Corona.
I remember last year my parents, they came to visit, and there was snow on the ground on Thanksgiving.
So we're doing good.
Yeah, I think this year we're not going to have to worry about any snow on the ground for this Thanksgiving.
All right, a good forecast. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Well, many businesses, of course, have been forced to shut down during the pandemic, but there is a cafe that found a way to stay open because its employee cannot catch COVID-19. You'll see why coming up, but first, it's a whole town, and it's up for sale out on the West Coast. Why it's an opportunity to be your own mayor right after the break. Ever wished you could be the king or the queen of your own country? Maybe just the mayor of your own town? You have a chance. The small town of Nipton, California is up for sale again. George Knapp has the details.
If the sound of a passing train is music to your ears, if you appreciate Joshua trees, the gnarly gargoyles of the Mojave, if you love wide open skies and a slower pace, the little railroad town of Nipton might be for you. If you buy the whole town, the accompanying vibe is free. Shannon Salter is a PhD candidate at UNLV who was bitten by the Nipton bug years ago and visits as often as she can. Like many who care about the little town, she's hoping it falls into the hands of just the right buyer.
I'd like to see somebody here that loves the place.
Nipton is 65 miles south of Las Vegas on the California side of the state line, 10 miles from the interstate, with a railroad line on one side and a massive forest of Joshua trees on the other. It feels like an Old West Brigadoon, a place lost in time that occasionally appears out of the mist and dust.
That's how life is out here. It's just a little bit different, you know.
Stefan Sheeran arrived in 2017 as a consultant for American Green, a large cannabis company that bought the town for $5 million, with ambitious plans to turn it into a cannabis retreat. The company sunk a pile of money into infrastructure, built several eco-cabins, as well as comfy teepees for visitors, installed massive public art pieces like this sculpture made from old shopping carts, and did restoration work on some of the historic structures. Stefan fell in love with Nipton and now is the unofficial town manager. So what does a buyer get?
So what they get is 80 acres, including the general store here, the Nipton Trading Post, the Whistle Stop Cafe over here, and then the hotel, which has got 5 rooms.
The town was purchased in the 80s by a Caltech geologist named Jerry Freeman and his wife Roxanne Lang. They planted jojoba and grapes and the now giant eucalyptus trees, upgraded the ample water supply, made Nipton the most solarized town in America long before the nearby Ivanpah solar plants existed, and took steps to make Nipton self-sustaining, respectful of its history, and friendly to the earth. Freeman passed away a few years ago, and now wife Roxanne has put Nipton back on the market with an asking price of around $2.7 million.
Sounds pretty cool. Well, this employee can't possibly catch the coronavirus because it's not living or breathing. They'll meet a robot barista running a cafe when we come back. During the pandemic, a number of businesses suddenly shutting down from financial losses, but doing things a bit differently. There's a new cafe opening up now with a unique coffee shop experience. Amy Lewis takes us there.
Open for business. And busy at work is this one-armed robot holding down the fort here at Cafe Robo Esso Solo.
Robot espresso bar, just kind of playing with the words.
Cafe owner Matthew Jones taught the machine everything it knows and says it was easy. He's more into coffee, not engineering.
Never touched a robot before in my life.
But went all into automation when the pandemic hit.
The whole experience and the end product is just the same quality that you'd get at any other coffee shop.
It can do everything. Pour, stir, and serve it up on a conveyor belt. It's a contact-free process.
That was the goal, yeah.
The robot can make about 700 different types of drinks, from pouring kombucha to making a cappuccino. But the most complicated drink for the robot to make is a mocha latte.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because it stirs the chocolate, so it's cool.
And a pretty unique pandemic solution, serving worry-free coffee.
Anyone that watches it just has a huge grin on their face.
And maybe a smile too.
I mean, right now, you know, you can't see with their mask, but you could tell.
In Golden, I'm Amy Lewis.
Now I want another coffee. Do you know someone with a unique talent or passion? If so, we want to know about them as well. Before we wrap up here at 5, let's check in first with Tim for what's coming up at 6. Hi, Tim.
Hey, good afternoon, Sophie. As you've been reporting, the COVID case numbers continue to climb, and now we're finding out it's not only a problem for those health centers that are treating those patients, but also the folks who are called when someone is feeling ill with COVID-related symptoms. In many places, the COVID crisis is overwhelming first responders. In Norfolk, Nebraska, so much so that the public there is being asked to only call 911 when there's a true emergency and not simply because they're feeling ill with COVID symptoms. Coming up at 6, our Marina Bach reports from Norfolk. Excuse me there. She'll have an update on the request and how it's impacting residents. Also at 6, the story of a world champion swimmer who learned to swim at a river before becoming a competitive swimmer. And what makes his story so amazing, it's that he does not have any arms. That's tonight at 6 as well. You won't want to miss that. Sophie?
Pretty incredible. All right, thanks a lot, Tim. And we, again, have an incredible sunset here. It's been amplifying the colors during our broadcast, and a pretty mild overnight, considering where we should be this time of year.
Right, yeah. Temperatures only dropping down into the mid-30s tonight, so most of us actually staying above freezing here throughout Siouxland. We are going to have clear skies. Typically, when we get clear skies at night this time of year, our temperatures, they really drop, but not tonight. Only in the mid-30s again, winds around 10 to 15. Tomorrow, shaping up to be a really nice day. Low to mid-60s tomorrow for our high temperatures. Plenty of sunshine. Again, it will be a little bit breezy. Winds gusting at times to around 35 miles per hour. It looks like Thursday is going to be another day in the 60s. Friday, a little bit cooler in the 50s. And then Saturday, that's when we're going to have average temperatures in the 40s with a chance of showers.
All right, thanks so much, Marcus. And we'll see you back here at 6. Until then, have a great night.